We find ourselves on the central coast of New South Wales, and Nick, 2016 marks a very important milestone for forestry in this area.
Andrew, 100 years of forest management in New South Wales, and you might think that that sounds like a long time, but it is very important to recognise that these forests have been inhabited and managed for much longer than that.
I'd like to acknowledge that we're on dark and young country, and I'd like to pay my respects to the elders past and present and to the children of this land.
This is dark and young country on the New South Wales Central Coast, home to more than 300,000 people and stretching from the Hawkesbury River in the south to the shores of Lake Macquarie in the north. It's an area which is particularly rich in Aboriginal heritage, and the responsibility of maintaining its history falls to the Dark and Young Local Aboriginal Land Council, who is the caretaker of the land.
So see that big one in the middle there, that big tree?
Yeah.
If I'd have found 20 scats here, I'd have to mark him.
There are a lot of sites. Just to give you an idea of the Central Coast area, within the Dark and Young Land Council boundary, there are over 7,000 registered sites. So they're on the National Parks and Wildlife AHIMS site. But since I started with Dark and Young in November, I've come across a couple of new sites. So it's not rare to be finding new sites.
Forestry Corporation of New South Wales actively partners with Aboriginal communities across the state and employs a team of Aboriginal Partnership Liaison Officers in order to help identify and protect cultural heritage sites and find ways to put Aboriginal people back in touch with the land.
Primarily my role is surveying in the forest, looking for Aboriginal cultural heritage sites. The other part of my time is taken up by visiting with community groups, meeting with elders and other family groups to discuss how we can better get access for Aboriginal people into the forest. Also firewood, access to bark, yeah, so all kinds of things. So anything that may include a partnership agreement.
Out in the bush, a good set of trained eyes can point to a genuinely surprising variety of otherwise hidden heritage sites. It's all a matter of knowing what to look for.
If we were to search further and deeper into these bushes here, we'd find axe grinding grooves right up into this part of the country. It's an ideal place to make the tools.
With such a wealth of heritage sites in the area, painstaking on-ground surveys are carried out before any forestry activity can take place. When an item or artefact is found, it's catalogued, its location recorded with GPS accuracy, and the details added to the public record.
So far in New South Wales State Forests, some 3,500 Aboriginal cultural heritage sites have been protected in this way.
When those surveys are carried out, the guys are searching for the tiniest of clues. They lower their eyes and they inspect all the little shards of rock, which could in fact be artefacts. They're looking for engravings on the rocks. They're looking for groundings where the axes used to be sharpened.
Sometimes though you can afford to look up and look big. This is in fact one of those places. This is the Warri Warren Aboriginal place, a meeting place. And here in this cave there are no fewer than 894 separate works of art. It is quite something to behold.
In this area you'll find a lot of different levels of sites. You'll find different male areas, female areas, community areas, waterway systems. There's a lot of food around. There's a lot of history in this area, and there's a lot of evidence still in the ground. It's the open book of our culture.
Aboriginal partnerships with Forestry Corporation is all about getting Aboriginal people back on country. Forestry Corporation acknowledges that Aboriginal people are the first land managers of this country, traditional owners of this country. So we respect that in all that we do, and that's about getting Aboriginal people back on country and doing traditional things back on land that was once traditionally theirs, to manage, to teach, to grow.
It's very important for Aboriginal people to have access to their country and their resources and their stories and their culture, to continue to train and hand on and to teach other people the history of Australia.
As well as promoting land access and heritage protection, the Aboriginal Partnership liaison teams help with things like dedicated culture camps, Indigenous land use agreements and the provision of cultural materials for traditional practices. Bark from these trees is provided for teaching children the art of traditional canoe making.
I love my job. It's an awesome job. It's very spiritually rewarding as well because I'm travelling all over my country and protecting my heritage. I couldn't do anything more for my own people and for my culture. It's a pleasure to get up and go to work every day.
The partnership between the Darkinjung Local Aboriginal Land Council and Forestry Corporation of New South Wales is just one of many such arrangements across the state. The partnerships are based on the need to identify and protect Aboriginal heritage in the bush and also give Aboriginal people greater access to country. So far, 3,500 Aboriginal cultural heritage sites have been protected and the forests continue to produce high-value timber and a range of cultural materials for traditional use. To find out more, head to forestrycorporation.com.au.